Hi guys, my favorite day of the week. And it's really interesting because we all know that the information that we're looking at, how many times has that data been revised after 3 months or 5 years, etc. So really people are operating under really bad data. But today we've got surprise, destroy, and rebuild going on, and a lot of chaos. So the history of the data is being destroyed. And now, really, how many times can you be lied to when you do not know the truth? It was worse before. That is why, my friends, I believe in gold and silver. Honest money, sound money. And we fight for the community, and we fight for sound money. And we do it on a local basis as well as a global basis. So with what we're looking at now, let's talk about the data and then let's have this conversation because a lot of things are happening. So it is pretty, why is Zang Enterprises keep coming up? Sorry about that, guys. It was just very strange. But the attack on the bureaucracy and the changes that are being made hides a history. And that history apparently doesn't seem to be held anywhere. And that's a bit of a problem because statisticians call on Congress to help preserve data integrity. Honestly, the integrity of the data wasn't great before because what they do, politicians, they change formulas, they don't change behavior. And I would say that that is also true today. The behavior is the same, they're just changing the formulas and how they're approaching it. But if we can't agree that the data is credible, valid, objective, then that undermines civil discourse, the ability to discuss what's really happening and how you're really feeling. And it makes a confused mind, and a confused mind says no. And so people are kind of frozen, but don't freeze because we need to maintain. It's been important. It is as important today or more important than it has ever been that we are as independent and self-sufficient with a sound money foundation because this is a huge fight that we are in. And this is your bazooka. This is your bazooka. Intangible currencies, this is a penknife. This is nothing. It's going to zero. It should be pretty obvious. But I want to show you the statistics between 2012 and 2022 because there are a lot of industries that are dependent upon that government data, and how are they going to be able to use it now? We've got internet, publishing, management consulting, scientific and technical companies, market research and public opinion, real estate, and new syndicates. And look at how much that they have grown independence, even though that data wasn't good. It was consistent as it moved forward. So the average dependence on government data in the last 10 years between 2012 and 2022 has grown 168%. So what happens to all of those companies? And remember too, data is the new real estate, right? Data is what's important. Your data, my data, everybody's data. And it's being, well, obviously manipulated prior to this, but now a lot of that is also being hidden. Can you see how convoluted and the problem that it can happen? Because disappearing U.S. data dims the economic outlook. And maybe that's why we're seeing interest rates plummet right now, right? That's what's happening. The markets are convulsing. It should be just the opposite, but it's not. If government data becomes less available, trusted, or dependable, well, I don't really trust it. But then again, I'm reading their data all the time, then garbage in will increasingly become the norm. And as every computer scientist knows, that inevitably leads to garbage out. Maybe this is good because maybe it's cleaning everything, but we have no data to work with to begin with. We don't. It was garbage before, it's more garbage now. And we can't go back and track anything. So the question is, how many times can you be lied to when you do not know the truth? So how do you know where to go to get the truth? My friends, this is the truth. Sound money is simple, easy to understand. And at Zang Enterprises, you guys know I have been groomed for this moment in time, and I just got chills, and I'm going to be talking about this a lot more coming up very quickly, because I think it's really important that you know who you're watching. And if you trust my words, it's important that you know who I am. And while, if you've been watching me for a while, you certainly know that, but you have to understand I'm kind of struggling because this is something that I've wanted to talk about for quite some time, and I'm kind of digressing a little bit, and I'm just going to I'll move this out of the way for now because I'm just going to start. And some of you may leave me when you find this, and I just have to be true, and I have to be transparent and honest with you guys, because I know you've heard me say I've been groomed for this moment of time. And I have to tell you, I have known since I was 4 years old that I was supposed to do something that made a positive difference for a lot of people. And I looked for that. I looked for what that was my whole life. As I was in banking, as I was getting trained by my Uncle Al, as I was a stockbroker, as I got into the gold space, the sound money space. And I really didn't know that this was it until one day I have a policy, and when my daughters ask me, or any of my children, so my grandkids could do that too, if they ask me to do something, I do it. Right? Even though I'm always so busy, because I'm constantly working, but I take 3 deep breaths and I say yes. So one day I had been attempting to teach the strategy to a number of people when I was at the old company, and they just weren't getting it. And to me, it's super simple. And I said, you really have to put some skin in the game. You have to do some research on what is money and all of this to be able to really help your clients. And one of the consultants came to me and said, look, just write it down. That's my due diligence. And I thought, I won't say what I thought, the first word, but I said, fine. And the next morning, this was a Friday afternoon, and the next morning I woke up and at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was obsessed. I sat down to start writing this out, the strategy out for these people. And I became obsessed. And I think I wrote that night until like 11 o'clock at night or something like that, till I could not see. My eyes were burning so much. And I went to bed, and I woke up the next morning, about the same time, about 4 o'clock, and I'm writing, and it's just kind of everything is flowing out of me. But I was supposed to have lunch with my daughters that day. So I stopped and got ready for lunch. And as I was sitting at my dressing table getting ready to meet them, it's kind of like a knowing. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe some of you have experienced it as well. It's just kind of like I might kind of hear something. I don't have these weird voices in my head, but I'm kind of told this. And I was told this is what we were preparing you for, was this strategy that we share at Zang Enterprises, that no matter how hard I tried and no matter how much I wrote down, other people couldn't get it. And maybe they just weren't that engaged. I really don't know. But I met my daughters, and, life goes on, et cetera, et cetera. And everybody knows, I know I'm skipping a lot of stuff. I'm going to go into more details on another day, but I wanted to share this piece with you. Everybody knows I went to Australia in September of September of 2023. Yeah, 2023. And when I was there, I had developed the mantra after 2008 because 100% I knew that the system died, right? So I was living in a little 2-bedroom condo, getting ready to retire, and then 2008 happened. And so instead what I did was I bought a property in Central Phoenix that had a large yard so I could become an urban farmer. But move forward, developed the mantra, went to Australia, August, September of 2023, threw away all the work that I had put together, and then started talking about community. And the minute, I've told you guys this, but the minute I did that, I had chills from the tip of my head to the bottom of my feet and everything in between the entire time that I was talking about community. So those of you that have been watching me more knows that I started talking about that a whole lot more. But these understandings and different things that would happen to me over the years, there were frequently years that would go between times from me being being told something and then seeing it manifest. And I know this is kind of disjointed. I'm going to do a much better job with this, I promise, because I really do want you to understand this. I would say over the last 3 weeks, never in my life have I experienced the understandings, the way I call them. I'm doing a bad job of this. I'm sorry. I wanted to kind of do this off camera so that I could kind of work on it so that it wasn't so disjointed. And you see, this is not something that I really talk about a lot. I mean, I don't shy away from it if somebody asks me a question because it is what it is. But I have to tell you, I believe my heart of hearts, my bones of bones, and everything in between, that we are very, very, very close to a social and economic and financial collapse and revolution. I have not felt this strongly or gotten this many understandings ever in my life. And the first one I got, I was 4 years old. That's how I remember it. Might have been even earlier than that. But that's how I remember it, that I was 4 years old. Having good data, how many times can you be lied to when you don't know the truth? And we can't uncover that data. We can't. You have to be as independent and self-sufficient as you possibly can. And community is critically important. Local community, so that you can have security in food, water, energy security itself, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. Get it done. Do not wait. If you don't know how to do it, go to a local community garden. Go to a local farmer's market. Introduce yourself to people that are growing your food and give them a bit of your time. It can be the difference between you living and having something to eat and having something to feed your family or having nothing. I don't get political. As you guys know, this is economic. But I have to be honest with you. And when things are done in such a rapid, haphazard manner, do you think there wouldn't be an accident, an unintended consequence? There are unintended consequences that happen even when they try to think things through, let alone when they don't try to think things through, that they just take a machete and destroy everything in its path. This is dangerous. Now, Randy Welchel, who apparently has been on a lot of our posts, and so if you're here, Randy, this is for you. Trump is calling for a balanced budget. He has gotten all he wanted, and will get this too, time to change your mantra. Oh, no, 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 no. Because no matter what is happening out there, I can tell you right now, You need to have security in food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. If you do not have that sound money strategy in place, get it done. Get it done as quickly as you can, because we do not know what's going to happen. I want to show you something here. Can you go back to the screen? Okay. So instead of me trying to fumble with this, I pulled this out just for you, Randy, just for you. This is the deficits and surplus of the U.S. government. This is the data from the Fed. How good is it? I don't know. But this is World War II right here. Can you see that teeny weeny little bit where they did not have to balance the budget? When we were on a gold standard, they had to balance the budget because gold requires fiscal responsibility. But this is 1971 right here that I'm showing you. And has the budget been balanced since then? No. But, oh, my goodness, here's the surplus. So, gosh, we ran a surplus. Now, I'm going to tell you, that was an accounting trick. It wasn't real. But this is all deficit spending, which means that they're spending money they do not have, like a credit card, right? But what they do is they issue debt to fund it. Well, if you go and you use your credit card, don't you have to pay that bill? Now, next month, in March 14th, we've got a debt ceiling battle looming. And we have such a divided Congress. And the Democrats could easily force this issue. And we do know that President Trump, in his first term, had the longest shutdown of the government. And I think we can see from what's happening now that nobody in the administration is adverse to adversity, to another shutdown. What will that do to you? Do you see the importance of being independent? I don't really care. And this is the point that I wanted to make. Whether it was a Republican or it was a Democrat that was in office, look at all the deficit spending that's been doing. And do you think that this is actually accurate because they can do so many things off balance sheet? It's not. It doesn't show the truth. The old data didn't show the truth. The new data does not show the truth either. There is not one person that got us into this mess. There is not one person that will get us out of this mess. We have lost all of our purchasing power. And when you've lost all of your purchasing power through inflation and the central bank's manipulation of the value of these things, just like it's happened 4,800 times, is this time different? Well, it seems to be a little different, but the answer is no. It is not different this time. How can I convey the urgency that I feel? I have been getting, I'm getting it right now again, chills for the last 3 weeks. It's like I'm seeing what's happening and I'm understanding the real purpose of me being here. My platform is sound money. It is simple, it is honest, and it is real. It is tangible. And it has the broadest base of functionality because it's used in every single sector of the global economy. It is your financial bazooka. But you also need food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. And you don't have the luxury of time that I had. Because I knew in 2008, I saw this. And I got to tell you, I usually do. This has happened to me my whole life. I'm sorry, but it just has. And I'm being like really, really clear with you guys. I typically know things a few years or so ahead of when they come about. I don't say that I have any special capabilities, but I have been chosen. And you know, the only thing that I can ever promise is that I will show up and I will do the work. And I give you the links. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. Take your time, read the documents. I give you links to everything. You don't have to listen to me and go, oh, well, she must be right. But I'm telling you, don't listen to anybody else. Don't think that anybody else is going to have your best interest in mind more than they have their own best interest in mind. And if something is really complicated to understand and you have to have a special degree to understand it, and not just a special degree, but actually work in the field, I mean, how easy is it to lie to you? How easy is it to change things? Because once all the interest, and I will do this, I will have this for you next week. It's been on my list to show you what those negative rates look like. Because it doesn't matter whether it's a Bitcoin or it's a CBDC or it's a hoochie coochie. It doesn't really matter whatever the name might be. This is about controlling you. So if you don't have all of those important things in place, then when anybody says jump, you have to say how high. And what are we seeing? We're seeing, I hate to say this, but we're seeing that if somebody doesn't like what somebody else is saying, then they are attacked. Then they are wrong. I can only give you my opinion, but it is an opinion from a lifetime of experience. This is why I was born. This is why I am on this planet, is to help as many people as I can. And then all of those people can help even more people. It isn't just me that's supposed to make a positive difference for a lot of people. Thank you, Australia, for helping me understand that, because that's the way I always heard it. It's all of our responsibility to help everybody, those that understand what's happening and those that don't understand what's happening. And how can you do that? You can do that by being as secure as possible. If you're on an airplane and they say, if you need oxygen and you have a child next to you, put it on your face first. And then you can help everybody around you. And this is the same thing. Put it on your face first. Understand the truth. And if you don't have time to dig into it like I have, 70 years of this understanding and this learning, this is simple, honest money. It doesn't require a college degree or a higher education degree or working in an area to know it. And it's money because the world has said so for thousands and thousands of years, because it is your financial bazooka used in every single sector of the global economy. And I'm sorry, because I know I went off on a tangent and I don't even know how long I've been rambling. And please forgive me, because I'm going to do it much better, but I'll start taking questions. So no. In gold and silver, I trust. In gold and silver, I trust. In man, no. Ulterior motives all over the place. But
let me just say, there's a lot of support in the comments for
thank you guys
you being
very
transparent
much.
And kind of going off script a little bit there and just spewing what is on your heart. A lot of support in the comments. I just want to say thank you to the comments for
thank you very
for
much.
Being supportive. And what we do is we're trying to do it for you. We're trying to be your guys' pillar. We're trying to give you guys a base to work from.
Right.
So we're
and
trying.
We are all
and we're doing
here
our
to
best.
be of service.
Absolutely.
I mean, every single person at Zang Enterprises
Absolutely.
is here to be of service on this planet. It's the kind of people that we hire.
Yep.
And guess what? I've worked with every single strategy specialist to understand the strategy. And I meet with them every single week. Mm-hmm. And then I have one-on-ones with them. They all have my phone number. They know how to get a hold of me. I am very, very, very accessible. And so, yeah, I appreciate all of you. Some of you are not going to like what I have to say, but I have to say it because that's my job. That's my job. And where I have to be a little ginger is in what I say is because I don't want to get shut down, right? That's what I have to pay attention to, not when I'm telling you. And let me tell you, Adam, would you do me a favor, please, and see
course.
if we can't figure out when we can do some of the lives
Yes.
in person?
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Because that's something that I really want to do. I can speak more freely when it's not on the air like this. That's what I can say. I can speak more freely. So, all right, I'll take some questions. Let me take a sip of water. I'm going to calm down here. But hopium, thank you, Tiger Stacker. Hopium just doesn't work. You have to be prepared. And we have to come together in local community to create that security and everything you need to lead a reasonable standard of living, as well as the global community. Gold and silver. Do I like some of the things that are happening in the gold and silver market? 100% I like them. But it doesn't matter whether I like them or I don't like them. I'm not going to give up my freedom because somebody says something I like, right? I'm not going to make a choice because it benefits me. That's not what my job is. My job is to stand here for you guys. That's my job. And that's one thing that most other people at other places could not understand. Who do I work for? I work for you guys. And I don't take the level of support and the level of trust that you give me. That's everything. And I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate that. And I'm telling you, get it flippin' done. Get it done. All right. Boy, this is a strange day. You know, the other thing that I'll talk about before I go to questions is you guys know that I was supposed to go and meet with a state representative to promote sound money on a state level. And it was supposed to actually happen yesterday, but at the last minute, it was canceled. So I didn't get to do that. Now, I don't know what the next steps are. I will find that out because actually I want to take you on this journey. I don't know how to do it. You're probably sitting there and saying, well, I don't know how to do it, but I'm thinking that we can learn how to do it together. Even when things don't work the way you want them to, my grandmother always had a great saying, and it really saved me a lot as a child. And she would always say, be thankful when something bad happens because it means that something worse was supposed to happen and that happened in its place. Okay, so that was bad that I didn't get to go. But if that saved me from having to deal with something worse, I'm good with that. I did, however, go to California and was part of a documentary, Money Interrupted. Was that Money Interrupted? It was fabulous. Anyway, we're going to give you a lot more information about it. So well done. I mean, I'm so proud to be a part of that.
Yeah,
we're going to show you solutions.
Absolutely. We're going to have a really, really good, that's going to be awesome.
Yep.
I'm so excited
so we
for
did
that.
get to
So
do that,
excited.
and that was the good thing. Okay. Akash Yaknik. Hey, Lynette. Love the content and your message of building community. You make the internet and the world, oh my gosh, a brighter and more educated place. Thank you very much, and thank you for showing up. That's why it's so important that we build this live, more than anything else, right? Because we can have these conversations. Thank you. Thank you. And J. Boyle 3875 says, thanks for your tips on pre-33 gold last week. Which size is your favorite, Lynette? Well, I really like them all. I love my $20 gold pieces, but I like them all. And I love my little, I mean, these are hard because they're easy to lose because they're so darn tiny. But it depends on what you're trying to accomplish with them. And that's really where you should go. My favorites, I mean, I like the legacy building coins as well, but that's because I want to leave a legacy for my children. So my portfolio is based upon what my personal goals are. And if you're working with us at Zang Enterprises, we're all executing the same strategy. Just a little tweak here and there based upon your goals and your current cost of living And then, it's the right tool for the job. That's how I make my choices on that. If I'm looking at love, well, look at this gorgeous. That was my mom's and dad's lizard lamp. That's acid cutback. I love my glass too. But it's not the same as my gold, right? It's a different thing because this is sound money. And Compton Crypto asks, LZ, do you think Fort Knox has the gold? I do think that Fort Knox probably does have the bars. It's not whether or not those bars are there. It's the ownership string. And so that's the problem with automatically randomly destroying data, is who is actually the owner of the bars in Fort Knox. I like very much that they're talking about doing the audit, but they can't just walk in there and go, oh, look at all the bars there. Right? Because it's all who legally is the owner. Central banks, and we're seeing it again, today with that shortage between the digital gold, right? The U.S.'s derivatives on gold and the physical markets, right? So all of that gold that Bank of England is holding for all of those global central banks and having it shipped over here and delivering it out, who owns that gold, right? So that's the problem. But yes, I do think that the bars probably are in Fort Knox. It's just who owns them? I don't know.
The real question is it bullion?
Oh, it is totally
it's all bullion, right?
It is all bullion. It is all classified as monetary gold, as is the gold that you have the ability to hold in your IRAs, right? It's monetary gold. And you have to ask yourself, you can hold almost anything in an IRA. You can hold real estate in an IRA. You can hold crypto in an IRA. You can hold gold and silver in an IRA if it's monetary. I can't hold this in an IRA. I can't hold, let's see, this is a rooster, right? I can't hold this in an IRA. And interestingly enough, I can't hold this raw pre-33 coin, which really is kind of like a piece of bullion. It's going to run with the spot market. It's the same gold content weight as this new coin that I can hold in an IRA. So how do you decide what you want? I mean, I've got the whole series now on confiscation, and the reason why it's taking so many parts is because they hide the confiscation with different words. Inflation. Well, inflation is a form of confiscation. They actually even say that, which you'll see in part 3. Royalties, right? So if they charge money to miners to pull the gold out of the ground, well, when the miners have to sell the gold into the market, you think they don't have to absorb those costs? That's a confiscation, not just from the miners, but the inflated values. The inflation, right? I mean, is that house really worth that many more dollars, or is it the dollar is worth that much less? And then if you sell that house, yeah, you can reinvest that money, but if you don't, you have to pay taxes on the inflation. Wait, what? Do you see what I'm saying? I just got my property tax assessment in the mail this morning. I opened it up at the table. And I think it was really, really interesting because they inflate the value of the house and then they tax you on that inflation. If you do not think that that is a form of confiscation, I got a bridge in Brooklyn that I'd like to sell you that I don't really own, but heck, you can't move the bridge anyway, so who cares? Do you see what I'm saying? There are so many different ways and so many different names, and that's what I'm trying to show you. So people say, oh, Lynette, you're just crazy. No, I've been doing this my entire life, and I have my Uncle Al. You can't take my personal experiences away from me and how he was able to hold 3,000 ounces when it was illegal to hold 5, more than 5, I should say, right? But he was holding it in this form right here. It wasn't slabbed back then because it didn't start slabbing until 86, right? He held lots of it in his 2 safes in his back bedroom. Why? Do I think it can happen again? Do you think that the government might not confiscate the gold? And I don't know, you're seeing a lot of attention around gold and also around resetting the value of gold, because every central bank has a gold revaluation account. That's what they're getting ready to do. But are they going to let you fly with it? Probably not. That's why I like the pre-33s. It's that simple. And okay. And Bible Preacher asks, at age 66, will buying gold by the gram help? All I can afford. Yes, because it's sound money. And because what you're doing is you're converting this into sound money. This is fiat money that's subject to inflation by design. This is not. And if you can accumulate it, because remember, I have to tell you this because a lot of times people are confused. We do sell gold and silver because we help you execute the strategy, but gold and silver in any form is monetary at its base. So regardless of what your budget is, then you should be accumulating it in any way that you can. Any way that you can. So yes, I'm 70 and I continue to accumulate. At least you'll have something that's real. You'll have honest money. That's what gold and silver is. It takes energy. It takes labor to pull it out of the ground. It holds it intact till it goes into any other area that it needs to go into. Yes, it will help you. It will absolutely help you. But I would also say, build your community. So you bring what you have. If somebody's part of my community, well, quite honestly, I have plenty of gold and silver, so I don't need you to bring that in. But even though I can lay irrigation, do I want to lay irrigation? No, I do not. So it's the skill sets. And it's like at the bug out location, the people that I have on my list for bugging out, I've got electricians, I've got carpenters, I've got farmers, I've got teachers, I've got doctors, and with doctors, I've even got surgeons. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for skill sets. Learn a new skill. You can at 66. Psh, you're young. You got energy. You can do it. Do it and bring value. That's how you bring your value. And Luke Satcher asks, I love your sapphire bracelet. Is it platinum? Yes, it is, but I'm not wearing my sapphire bracelet today. But yes, it is platinum because it's 1920s. So, yep. And Gina Young, and thank you very much because I love that bracelet too. It is actually my favorite probably bracelet that I have. Yeah, I love that piece, especially when I wear it with the sapphire ring. It's great. That's also from the 20s. And Gina Young asks, hi, Lynette, is it a good thing or bad thing if the Fed disappeared? It would be a great thing. Now, if the Fed disappears abruptly, understand the level of chaos that would happen, but we don't really need a Federal Reserve because, prior to the Fed in being legalized in 1913, all central banks had a charter, typically between 15 and 20 years, because governments knew that it would lead to hyperinflation. So the Fed actually had a 20-year charter when they were legalized in 1913, and that would have put it at 1933. So the experiment that they executed since they legalized the inflation theft was the first time historically where a central bank attempted to control inflation by using interest rate policy. Rising the interest rates if they wanted to create deflation, and lowering the interest rates when they wanted to create inflation. So there are a few new things that happened since we legalized the Fed in 1913. But I think it would be a good thing if we went back to an honest money system. And that's what I'm fighting for. Honest to God, that's what I'm fighting for, really, is to get sound money in this new system. because where they're going is a full surveillance system. And let me tell you, did we not see in Canada when the truckers were doing a perfectly legal strike and the government cut them off from all of their money in the system and those that chose to help them as well? And that's Canada. So we've gotten a little view of what they can look like. No, I'd love it if they went away. I would love the Fed to disappear. But I would like it in a measured way. However, you do need to understand that while I've studied currency life cycles since 1987, never, ever, ever is the transition easy. And the transition that we're going through right now is closer to the one that we went through in the early 1900s than in 1971, because they just kind of expanded the same. And now we're going from a paperback system. Oh, that's one of the, got into it. Okay. So, yes, these are not real. Of course, a lot of these aren't real. You could tell by the feel. This one's as real as that one, and that's got my picture on it. They just feel a little different. They're all counterfeit. They're counterfeit to this. They were designed to mimic this and this. They're counterfeit. But it's legal counterfeit because the government says so. Yeah, let's bye-bye, Fed. Yeah, we don't need them. We don't need them.
Low blood pressure wants to know if you need any comedians at the bug out.
Totally. Yes, you're absolutely right. Because I'm doing a lot of things for fun. You know, we have ping pong. We have that. Yes, we need comedians. We even have a massage therapist, because that is very important, right? So it's your mental health as well. Comedians work great. You could work with Megan. Megan has no boundaries. She could have been a stand-up comic. For those of you that might have remembered Megan when she used to work for me. And my favorite, she never remembered to turn my cell phone off or turn the sound on, ever. Even though she did it for 5 years. Nope, just couldn't remember that. So one day, we should pull that blooper out. But one day my cell phone went off and she decided to crawl behind me to turn it off. And these are live, so you're not cutting. We used to do everything live. And you could see she was wearing white jeans that day, and you see this white butt crawling behind me and then backing up. Absolutely hysterical. So yes, we need comedians. Yes, it should not be all drudgery. You have to have laughter. It's important. And Michael, why did gold tank today? Oh, great question. Okay, the reason why you saw spot gold tank today is because we are in a declining market and volatility has gone up a lot, right? So if you have bought stocks with leverage, which most entities do, when the market implodes, as the stock goes up, you can borrow more and more and more against those same stocks. But when the market goes down, you get what's called margin calls. And therefore, you have to sell whatever you can, what the market will buy, in order to meet those that margin call, or they will sell out your position, because Wall Street is not going to take the losses. You are going to take the losses. So that's why you saw gold move down today, or spot gold move down. Guess what it doesn't touch? The fundamental value. The other thing is, you've also been watching interest rates tank, not just here, but in Germany as well. In fact, there's something I'll read from you. That's why I brought my phone in here. Why are interest rates going down? They might say flight to safety, which is really a joke because it's a debt instrument that's not payable. But it is it is because what is anticipated is a huge, maybe dare I say it, depression. Even President Trump said that, right? That we are facing a depression. And so people are trying to lock in those higher rates because when the central banks, what do they want to do? A depression is deflation. A stock market going down is deflation. A real estate market going down is deflation. There's only one way to fight deflation, and that's with inflation. So they drop the interest rates so more people borrow and spend money into existence. And that means that all of the money that's out there buys less and less and less. No, they haven't beat inflation. And they just want you to think that they are credible in fighting inflation. That's a lie. It's a lie. And how many times can you be lied to when you don't know the truth? And sound money actually shows us that. Okay.
Is Juliet in here? Someone's asking for Juliet. No?
Juliet.
Oh, no, she's not in here.
Arthur, you want to get
she's
Juliet?
She's a big old dog. You'd see
Can
her
we
really quickly.
Oh,
yeah, let's bring her in.
I'm enjoying her so much.
Let's
There's
bring her
Arthur.
in.
Juliet. I'll go get Juliet and bring her in.
Yeah.
And low blood pressure asks, Lynette, the way you speak really lets us know you care more about helping us succeed with the strategy than just making money selling gold. You just gave me chills. 100%, I guarantee you. I mean, I spent years and years and years on developing this strategy from all of my studies. And I have to tell you, that actually cost me money. I go and I do these events, and sometimes they pay me some money. But most of the time, it's on my dime. And if I'm going to a different country, at this point, I can't even sell you gold. So I'm definitely doing this to build global community. This is my life's mission. Thank you for recognizing that, low blood pressure. I really appreciate it. And Wolf said, are you saying, Lynette, that you have a psychic feeling of imminent disaster? I do not consider myself psychic, but I do consider myself guided. And there were a number of times, like when I was very small, I had imaginary playmates. I had Tickle and Joe and the twins. I did not know any twins as a child, but they were my imaginary playmates. One day, wow, okay. So I was working in a bank. I got a job because my father was kind of a meaty, a little bigger fish, I guess, in a little small pond as a developer in Kingston, New York. My friend Gerald Salente lives in Kingston. Okay, Kingston, New York. And so I started working in banking when I was 15. And this was a time when they were converting everything into computers, right? So my job that summer was to sit in this tiny room. I'm going to tell you, not much bigger than this desk that I'm sitting in front of. It was super tiny. And I had to transfer the data onto this sheet, onto these sheets, and then that would go into the computer room, which was larger. That computer back then was larger than this whole studio, actually. And I'm sitting there one day, and I made a contest for myself because it was super boring, and there was a clock outside of the window. And so I said, okay, how many of these can I do in 5 minutes? And so I was just creating a little contest for myself to get through this very boring task. And it felt like somebody had come up behind me and hit me in the head with a rubber mallet. And I looked around, but I'm telling you, this room wasn't a whole lot bigger than this desk. There was really no place for anybody to hide. And in that moment, I knew that I was not going to have a normal child. I honestly thought, and I always tell people, so you can ask anybody around me, when these things happen, I tell people. It kind of holds my toes to the fire, so to speak. And I thought, well, God knows I'm really strong and, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, well, I have twins. So I got pregnant. It never bothered me. I thought, okay, whatever it is, I will, I'll deal with it. It'll be great. We'll get through it. And when I got pregnant, I was so afraid, but it didn't take very long before the doctor said that was in the early days of sonograms. So, because my girls were born in 81. And he said, let's go in and see what's happening, because I gained a lot of weight very quickly. And there were twins. At that time, my husband said he thought I broke his hand because he was there when they did, there's one little body and there's another little body. So I don't know. No, I don't think of myself as psychic, but I definitely think of myself as guided. And I definitely know that when I'm told something, that I just have to have patience. And at some point, and typically I'm talking years, all right, I'm really putting my neck on the line here. And this is recorded, so I don't know. Okay, it was, I think, either 3 or 4 years ago, February, so this month. And I'm laying in bed at night, kind of dozing off. And I'm told, you are going to lead a movement. You know, what do I want to lead a movement for? I was, I'm 70 now, so I was like, 66. I'm thinking at some point here, I'm going to stop working. I don't know when. I always figured I'd do this till I was 80. And Jacqueline, who's the president of my company, she's been with me now for going on 6 years. And so she's seen this happen before. And I told her, she said, well, when will we know? When will we know? I said, I don't know. What does it look like? I don't know. I don't know. We'll know when we know. Well, when I went to Australia in 23 and I started talking about community and I got the chills all over my body, I knew that was the direction that I had to go in, but I can't say that I saw a movement yet. Last May, when I did XRP, and honestly, I thought it was going to be a bust. I thought this was a crypto conference. What do they want to come and listen to gold for? But I'm standing in there. They didn't even give me a microphone. I didn't even know I was going to have a breakout until 2 days before the event. So I didn't even really put anything together for it, to be honest with you, which is not really like me. But it was 2 days before. And let me tell you, I work a lot. I don't need to put extra work on my plate if it's not going to happen, right? And all of a sudden, and Adam was there. He had just started working for me shortly before that, right? And what was the experience that you saw?
I mean, it was mind-blowing.
It was mind-blowing.
It was absolutely mind-blowing. We were overfilling.
Oh, yeah.
There was no room for anyone to stand there. It was shoulder to shoulder. The doors started opening up on the sides of the rooms because people wanted to hear what you were saying and what was going on. It was really telling that we have a much bigger thing here we're working on, That was the first time that I saw what I had been told about years before. Right.
So, and that's why with everything that's been coming to me lately, it's never happened before. I'm 70 years old. I can sit here and tell you I'm getting chills right now. This has never happened to me before. So the level, I'm not saying that I haven't felt urgent, because I've been feeling urgent, but timing up there and timing down here is completely different. That's one thing, all in due time, just not necessarily mine. But I'm telling you guys, with every fiber of my being, things are happening very, very quickly, and I don't feel good about this. I don't feel good about this. Get it done. Get it done. This is a huge commitment. It has nothing to do with money. Believe me, I give away a lot. I do a lot because I'm supposed to, because we're supposed to share the gifts that we've been given. I've been given this gift of knowing. And I'm sharing it with you and and a lot of times, like, I'll be working and I'll be, gathering my data and focusing on stuff, and something weird will automatically pull up on my laptop, an article or something. It wasn't even anything I was looking for and searching, but it was 100% what I needed to know. And that happens to me all the time. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, okay. So yeah, I don't consider myself psychic at all. That's not who I am or what I'm about, but I know that I'm a warrior. That's what I am. I am a warrior, and I am a warrior for you. That's who I work for. That's what many people never really understood, but this is why I was put on this planet, and I just promised to show up and do the work. But imminent disaster, get it done. Please, Wolf, get it done. and however we can be of service. But that's the beauty of community, because we can come together and be stronger and help each other through this. And we have to help even people that don't believe it, that think that you're crazy, that they, oh, the dollar can never go away. What, we have to help them too. Because what we're really asking people to do is have a paradigm shift. And they have to accept the fact that they have been lied to their entire lives. And that's very hard for people to do. So we have to help everybody that we can. We all have to make a positive difference for a lot of people. Juliet, come here, baby. Come here. Come here. Now all of a sudden, I guess she likes Arthur better. Come here, Juliet. They want to see you. You have fans. Come here, baby. Here's my Juliet. Here's my baby. Oh.
Look at how little she is. So tiny. Such a baby. Little. So little.
No. She's such a good girl. She is. I love having her here. I love her energy around the house. And she's just a good girl. So there's my Juliet. And Miramar asked, how can we value our gold and silver without data? Well, it depends on where you're looking. So you value your gold and silver because think about this. This is fiat money. This is sound money. So they're both money. They're just the flip side, right? How is this money created? This money is created via debt. So if you want to know how to value your gold, then you simply look up all of the debt that's ever been created. You can do it in a country by country way, but this is a global issue, so I do it globally, right? And we also know, because gold is indestructible, so we know how much gold has been mined. So it's above ground, and the Department of the Interior does an annual study on the gold left in the ground. So take all the gold that exists in the whole world, whether it's above ground or in ground, divide the debt by all the gold, and that gives you the true fundamental value of an ounce of gold. Because its single most important function, why it became money, was to hold its purchasing power intact over time, right? When they first created this stuff, they said, okay, money has to perform 4 sound functions. It needs to be a tool of measure, a tool of barter, a short-term store of value so that you are fairly paid for your labor, and a long-term store of value so that no matter when you use it, it retains its purchasing power value, so you're always fairly paid for your labor. Well, when they came out with this stuff, and what did they do? They put inflation in it. So they got rid of one of the key functions, the long-term store of value. Everybody knows if you sit and you hold dollars, that next week, next month, next year, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, whatever, it is not going to buy you the same goods and services. So fiat money came in to mimic sound money, but it eliminated a key long-term function. Now, what they're talking about, and I promise it's been on my list, but this is going to be one of the videos for sure next week. So let's see, mimic it. I think I lost my train of thought. I'm really kind of discombobulated today. Please forgive me. Where was I? Come on, Adam, help me out. Were you paying attention, Arthur?
I was reading the comments. I'm so sorry.
Long-term, okay. Oh, no, I got it. Now, when we go into the digital currencies, whatever they might be, it does not matter, whatever they might be, they're going to sell us, because they're going to do this during the hyperinflation. The central banks will sell us, if you let us have control of that, we can guarantee you there will be no inflation. No, because what they talk about is instituting negative rates. And we've talked about this before, so I will show you what those negative rates do. Because once you get all of the purchasing power out of a currency, what do you have left? You have to attack principal. And officially, there's 3 cents left. We will look at this next week, I promise. So that's what negative rates are about, is attacking the principal and giving the central banks the tools, or the government the tools to do that. And, when you're looking at this stuff, it's 1.00, so 2 decimal points. Now they can extend that a little bit, but there are limitations on how many zeros or how many digits after that point. When we go into a digital currency, there are no limitations. So they can take your purchasing power slowly enough that you don't notice it. So originally in my strategy, based upon those repeatable patterns, on the other side of this mess, when we had a money that had a component of gold in it, I was planning on transferring at least a chunk of that. I'll always have a foundation of sound money, but I was planning on converting a chunk of that into the current currency on the other side of this. Not once I saw what they had in mind. I will hold it out, and I will convert it as I need it. Not on a day-to-day basis, but probably on a bi-week. We'll have to see what's going on, and I'll let you know. But probably on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, we just have to see where we're at. But if we come together in global community and get a portion of our currency they're not just saying that it's backed, but we can pull that portion of gold out of the system, then we will have fiscal responsibility. If we can't pull it out of the system, you have nothing to hold their toes to the fire. We have to take our power back. We have to take our power back. That's why I'm here. That's why I was born. We have to take our power back. And can I sit here and guarantee you anything? I will show up and I will do the work. I am completely committed to this. Completely committed to this. Okay. And Nikki Patel, thank you for sharing. Oh, thank you. Your innermost thoughts. You have to follow your gut instincts. Love you for speaking up. Sending you hugs. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, everybody out there, because I can feel it. It feeds me, right? It says, okay, keep going, and I will. And I'll be absolutely transparent with you about who you're listening to, because that's my obligation. And Kathy Pisatello says, thank you for all you do. Will have always asking for guidance from God. And that's what led me to precious metals last year. You see, I have not stopped for a year. I feel compelled to learn. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. I feel compelled to be here too. I understand what you're saying completely. And Steve Willits says, what's going to happen if there's no gold in Fort Knox? Well, gold will probably rocket ship to the moon, since presumably we have more gold by a very wide margin than anybody else. So that's what would likely happen if they do open that up and see that there's no gold. It also puts you in probably a more dangerous position for confiscation, by the way. Like Canada sold off all their gold. That makes me really nervous, because you're seeing global central banks accumulate as much gold as possible to hold their control and their power. So if there's no gold in Fort Knox, and even if there is, become your own central bank. That's what I can tell you. And create that community to create that security.
I have two little things. So one, would they tell us that there was no gold there? Do you think they would tell us? How do you fake that, you think,
How do you fake that?
Yeah, how do you fake that there's
no
gold in there?
You just don't show it, or you show a pile of it could even be gold colored blocks,
sure.
bricks.
Yeah, those candy bars that we had, remember those gold?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It would actually be really kind of interesting. The second part to that was, okay, so they has there ever been a time in history where there's been an organization, a government or something saying they have this amount of gold like this, and then it was audited and there was never anything there? Or has this ever happened before? Something like this?
Okay. Kind of yes and kind of no. Really pretty much no. We haven't audited the Fed. We haven't audited Fort Knox. And like I said earlier, even if we do audit Fort Knox, and hey, there are all these bars, if they don't go into the details and the convolutions of all of the gold contracts that they used and the leasing out that they used to suppress the price and create a whole bunch of gold that doesn't exist, you're not going to know. That's why you need to be as self-sufficient and independent and have your own sound money strategy, be your own central banker. Do you really trust them? Do you really trust anybody? Do you really think that anybody's going to have your best interest at heart? That's why I'd say you don't trust me. Don't trust anybody. Anybody. Do your own due diligence. And Sandy Anderson, I have watched every show. Thank you so much, Sandy. I've watched every show of yours for years because you are genuine, Lynette. Thank you. I am here to be of service, period. End of discussion. I really am. And Phil McCracken says, the truth shall set you free. Have always felt love for you since ITM. You're a good one. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just me. I'm just like everybody else. I mean, you know, Adam, have you not seen me in my pajamas?
Yes, I have.
We all put on our pants one leg at a time.
One leg at a time.
Right. It's just that for some reason, I've been open to hearing what I needed to hear. And I would suggest that all of you just be open to hearing what you need to hear. I don't think that I'm any different than anybody else. I'm just a warrior willing to stand in the fight. That's all. And Wolf said, Lynette, do you see actual indications of a crash? Yes, I do. And I'll come to the rest of the question in a second. Think back to 99. When you had all of those that .com era, and there was 8,000 times earnings. Who cares about earnings at all? So the significant overvaluations and the inflated value from all of this money printing, why are the markets going down right now? You tell me. Because they're imploding from their own weight. I will also say that what is typical going into hyperinflation is a melt up, because people are attempting to maintain their purchasing power by going out on the risk spectrum. So what I see as an awful lot of risk. Additionally, when I look at things like Bitcoin, right? The cryptocurrencies. How do they get you to accept it so easily? Well, they get your attention. You know, how much more money would have gone into gold? Forget the flipping spot market, because that's just a joke anyway. But how much more money would have gone into gold had Bitcoin not come out in, when was that? January of 2009. Do you think that's a coincidence? No, I don't. And so the answer is yes. And I'm getting chill after chill after chill. And I'm telling you, when that happens to me, I know that what's coming out of my mouth is true and accurate, and it's something that I need to pay attention to. So I do see a lot of indications of a crash. And plus, what I do see... I don't care who would have been in office. There's virtually no purchasing power left in the currency. And the level of confidence, consumer confidence came in lower than they thought, because we are a consumer-driven economy. And I'd say that's pretty true almost globally, that it's all about consumers' ability to consume. So if people are not able to consume because they've got to put money in their bellies, they've got to buy food, you got to have food. Look at this with eggs. I mean, goodness sakes, it is so easy to have a few chickens in your backyard if you have a backyard, right? Have some chickens. That was one of the things, I don't think we talked about that today, but it was one of the articles that I read, which I don't have in here, and it was somebody in New York talking about people contacting her, neighbors contacting her, first with small chat, but then it gets into the chickens that are in the local community garden and the eggs that those chickens are producing. Someone said that eggs are now like $1 an egg, right? I mean, you can feed them. Like, we have very little waste because all of the produce waste goes back to the chickens, right? Even breads and things like that. So we have very little waste, but chickens are easy to care for and they're sweet. And although I will tell you, I had this chicken one time who thought that she was the alpha chicken. And I had a couple people that were helping me at that time, and they were scared to death of her because every time they'd go in the chicken yard, she'd attack them. So I went in to clean the coop one day, and I'm in there and I'm, scraping and digging and raking and stuff like that. The chicken comes at me. I kicked her away. She came at me again. I kicked her away harder. She came at me probably a dozen times. And every time she did, I kicked her harder and harder and harder. I didn't kick her like whack, but I took my foot and I pushed her back, right? So I didn't let her attack me. And I did it harder and harder and harder. At the end of that session, she became my best chicken. She followed me around like she was a puppy dog. She loved me because I showed her who the alpha chicken was. I had to do that with Juliet in walking her on a leash because she wasn't used to being walked on a leash. And I just had to show her who the alpha dog was in this scenario. Okay, sorry, Woof. And thanks to you, I took my retirement out of stocks, IRA, and annuities and bought gold and silver. If only I had found you sooner, but I'm so glad that you found me now and that you're part of this community and that you're helping this community grow. Thank you. Thank you for every single person that's here, every single one. And because I can't do it alone, I'm just one person. Together, we're an army. That's what we are. And Phil McCracken asks, if they sundown your gold and silver to convert to digital, that is a great question. What do you do at that point? Well, what you're really referring to is if they choose to sell the gold that we may or may not have in Fort Knox and convert that into Bitcoin. Here's the reason why gold has never, ever gone to zero. If somebody decides, here, I have a Bitcoin, which is magically the color of gold. Okay. So Bitcoin is used in one area, and it takes a lot of energy to create this Bitcoin, and that energy is used up. But if you're sitting with gold, even if they make that choice, which would be beyond stupid, in my opinion, even if they were to make that choice, that makes the gold that you hold even more valuable because it is used in every single sector of the global economy. That's why I say it's a bazooka. This is one. This is unlimited. That means this has one function, and frankly, it's a trading instrument. It is a risk-on or risk-off instrument. It does not hold its energy. And it only has value in terms of trading. But this is used in space travel. This is used in electronics. So is this, okay? Used in solar, used in food, used in the financial system, used in jewelry, used in every single sector of the global economy. Demand in one place, demand in every single place. Period. That's why. You want to keep your gold, you want to keep your silver, because it will have even more value if they do that stupid stuff. Because here's the thing. We've got to transition into a completely new system. They'd prefer it to be digital with them having full control. They prefer for it to go back to a feudal system where you just have a few people that own everything and everybody else that has to rent. You have a choice. By accumulating sound money, it's not sound money because somebody says it's sound money. It's sound money because the whole world agrees that this is sound money and it has the most utility of any asset on the planet. Bitcoin in one place is all counterparty risk. Because if those counterparties don't want to buy it, you have no market. Zero, zip, zilch. Has not been tested yet. It will be. Stay tuned. This is sound money that is above. So is this. Sound money that is above all governments, above all central bankers, again, because it is used in every single sector. So while it takes labor and effort and energy to pull it out of the ground, it's held inside of these coins or this jewelry or this flatware, right? That energy, that labor is held in this form and can be transferred into any other form, and that energy is used again. And because gold is indestructible, that means that there's an infinite number of ways that the energy that's stored in this little gold coin can be used. You don't use up that energy, right? That energy is used up. That energy is not used up. You see the difference? And if you don't feel bad. Let Adam know, let Arthur know, and I'll try and explain it another way because that's my job. My job is to translate financial noise into understandable language so that you can make educated choices that puts your best interest first, period. That's my job. That's my mission. And apparently also to lead a movement. Okay, fine. I mean, if you're called to do something, you got to do it. What's the choice? There is no choice. There is no choice. Abdul Sadr asks, hi, I am based in the UK. Are graded coins better than 1 ounce gold coins? Well, I personally believe that we are going to see a confiscation, an overt confiscation, because we've been living with covert confiscations our entire lives and for many, many years. So I do prefer them because they're in a different category. The UK is kind of an interesting deal, and I have a lot of affinity for the UK because I was lucky enough to get to go to Roxon College when I was in college myself. And so that's outside of Banbury near Cambridge. And so I have a huge affinity, and I love England, and I love the British people and all of that. But they don't basically hold a whole lot of gold anymore. They sold their gold a long time ago at some very undervalued levels. What concerns me in holding monetary gold in England is what happens if the foreign governments ask for their gold back that they've shipped here to the U.S. and then distributed to whoever owned that contract and demanded delivery. It's the same thing with Canada. I mean, it makes me nervous to sit with monetary gold or bullion gold. This is my piece of monetary bullion gold. And the only reason why I have this is so that if I'm talking about it, I can hold it up. But this is what I use for my savings so that if something happens, I mean, I have a lot of salaries that I have to pay. So if something were to happen, I can always pay those salaries, which I'm sure makes Adam and Arthur very happy. But I would honestly say that the lion's share of my gold is in this by a very wide margin, because this is for barterability. This is for savings. And then you see all these little pieces, these fractional gold coins, this is barterable. So, the strategy that I put together takes a look at what you're having to pay, like property taxes as example. This rooster, this fractional rooster, perfect for property taxes. It'll maintain your ability to always pay those taxes. But do I want to take this into the grocery store to buy strawberries? Heck no. What change are they going to give me? So what I want is constitutional silver pre-1964, 90% silver. And I have all different sizes, right? And if you ask me what my favorite size in silver is, I'm going to tell you it's the dime. And the reason is, and a dime is, it's not a tenth of an ounce, but it just makes it easy to think about. A dime is a tenth an ounce, a quarter is a quarter of an ounce, a $half is a half an ounce, and a silver dollar's an ounce, right? But it is easier to put two dimes together than to break a quarter in half. Though I could also take this, my sterling silver chopstick. And if I needed to cut a piece of it off, would I care? No, I would not. I would not care at all. So Douglas Anderson asks, do you sell bullion? And if you do, why? Since you keep saying it's going to be confiscated. Because I can't dictate to you what your level of comfort is. I can attempt to educate you, but at the end of the day, you are the one that's going to reap the rewards or suffer the consequences of any of your choices. So there are people that do not believe under any circumstances that there will be an overt confiscation. And I could be wrong. I can't sit here and guarantee you that there's going to be an overt gold confiscation. But if all you own is bullion and there is, you got a problem. So yes, Zang Enterprises, you want bullion? We'll sell you bullion if that's what you want, because it's your choice. It's your life. It's your choice. And we're still going to be there. And guess what? Even if you do buy bullion, we're setting you up a strategy. Now, are you executing the whole strategy if you buy bullion? No, you are not. However, I do believe that there might come a time when you go, maybe. And why in the world does it have to be all one or all the other? This is my pre-33. I mean, this is pre-33, but to be honest with you, it's just a piece of raw gold. That's why this is my savings, because if I needed to convert into whatever the currency is like that, I don't want to liquidate this, of which I intend to convert into income producing assets. I'll part with this. So we sell bullion because I can't dictate to you what your level of comfort is, but we're going to be there no matter what you do. It's just like I said, we've got to help people that don't believe, right? That's our obligation as humans on this planet, is to share the gifts that we have been given. And you've had the insight to see what's coming. You have to help the people that don't. And so that's how we feel about it. And we also encourage people, okay, if you're going to do bullion, then do enough of this to have a properly diversified gold portfolio. So if you're right or if you're wrong, it doesn't matter. You're covered. And that's really what we preach, right or wrong. I'm very strong in my opinions because I've lived through it. So, but are you going to have you had the same experience as me and the same education? Probably not. So, and you might be listening to a whole bunch of other people that have that opinion. Oh no, gold isn't part of the monetary system again. They would never confiscate. Well, then why are all those global central banks buying so much gold? So that's why we do. That's why, we're full service. You can get whatever it is that you want, and we're going to be there for you, even if you don't completely agree with us. That's okay. We respect your right to disagree, and we're still going to be there to support you. And Randy Welchel asks, first question of our stream. Oh, this was the first question. Okay. Thought on how the balanced U.S. budget Trump is demanding will impact your catastrophic... It doesn't matter, Randy. Honest to God, what matters, it doesn't matter how many of these things you have. It matters what you can do with them. And we're already at the end of this currency's life cycle, period, end of discussion. No matter who's in the White House, no matter who's in the Congress, no matter who's in your state legislature, it doesn't matter. You're going to balance the budget? Great. How are you going to balance the budget? You're going to cut a whole bunch of things? You cutting it with a scalpel or a machete? Can you sit there and tell me that nothing, no unintended consequences can happen? But it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is there is virtually and officially no purchasing power left in the currency. That ain't going to change. They have to go to a new system because the way they create money in the current system is through debt. And when you see central banks buying back government's debt, you know that is not going to last. And we are compounding that debt. So even if he slashes the budget moving forward, even if he balances that budget moving forward, what about all that past debt? Now, there have been comments that maybe he won't pay that. Okay, let's say that's true. Let's say that they go in and decide that a lot of the payments that they were making they're not going to do that again, right? Because they're thinking, oh, it's illegal or what have you, whatever the excuse is. What do you think the world would do to us if we now don't pay the debts that we've already accumulated? So no, Randy, nope. I don't even have to think about that one at all. This is the very end of this huge experiment. It's at the end. And no one person, no one action, no nothing is going to resurrect the dead. It just isn't going to happen. So, and last question, Cool Brother G. Would you accept bullion for your pre-33 as payment? If I could then take that bullion and convert it, then I would, right? And we are doing some different things because, I mean, honestly, on a day-to-day basis, it's kind of hard to use this to buy and sell, right? So I can see things, and stay tuned, we're working on it, to where we can have gold in the system used on a day-to-day basis. But I wouldn't convert if you're asking me personally, would I convert this into this? Heck no. In fact, well, this is just an American Eagle. That's how I bought my house. That's how I accumulated the down payment for this house, was by accumulating bullion. Because at that point, I wasn't concerned about the confiscation because we were too far away from being at the very end, okay? But once we hit a certain level, technically, I said, oh, no, I'm not comfortable with that anymore. And so I did use this, and I had a little bit, and I did convert it, but I'd convert bullion to this. I wouldn't convert this into bullion. Heck no. And guys, thank you so much for your patience with me today, for your loyalties. You can ask me anything. I won't run away from any question that you ask, even if you're not being super nice. That's okay, because you need those questions answered. And I won't run away from even one of them, unless it's a bigoted question and something like that, because that's different. But we are a community here, and communities support each other, and that's what we're about. And I do hope that once, they're now working furiously on the offices. I'm so excited. It is looking phenomenal. We got our key piece in When you get off the elevator, you're going to see this piece. We bought it in Australia, so we just got it. And it also, and it was made by a German woman in Israel, then shipped to Australia, and now it is in Arizona. So it really, and it speaks to our global community message so well. I'm so excited. I hope that some of you, and I hope that all of you really, can make it out to see our offices. I'll let you know when they're done. And Adam, have you been showing anybody the progress that we've been making there?
We've posted a little bit on Instagram, so make sure you're following us on Instagram, at the Lynette Zang and at Zang Enterprises. We have 2 Instagrams, so I've been posting a little bit more to Zang Enterprises since it's not, it's more of the company
good, because
stuff.
that is Zang Enterprises.
Yeah, so definitely go follow us on those accounts if you want to see more of that stuff.
Yep. We've been working on it forever. But now it really seems to be moving quite well, so that's exciting. And we will let you know when we're going to do an open house. We will do an open house. We might have to do more than one. We might have to do more than one. And if we do, we will. But it'll be great. Thank you so much. I really, from the bottom of my heart, I love you guys. I really do. And I'm here for you. So however I can be of service. But it's true for everybody. I mean, that's who we hire. We hire people that really care, that are on this mission. We're all rowing in the same direction, and it really is to support the global community, the local community, and the global community. So I know we can make a positive difference for a lot of people together. And until next we meet, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.